Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Jonny Lipsham.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Night Live with me, Jonny Lipsham, over here in Edinburgh, Scotland, capital of the world. You know the story. You know what I think of Edinburgh, my home city, my hometown. It's awesome, and I love it here, and I love you guys being here. So welcome. Hope everybody is doing all right. It's been a very busy weekend for me. I don't know about you guys, but it has been for me. We've spent most of it over on the site where our new house is going to be. And so we went and had a look at how that's progressing. And we also made some choices of things that we wanted to be built in to the inside of the house. So kitchen and all of that kind of stuff got sorted out today. And of course, lockdown has eased here in Scotland. So that meant that I could go and, we could all pile into the car and we could all go and see my mum and dad for the first time in since Christmas, actually. We saw them briefly at Christmas for Christmas Day. And then we were immediately back into lockdown. So we've not seen them since Christmas. So it was really nice to get over there and spend the day with them after we had been on the site. So we've been on the site on Saturday and on the site again this morning, just to get things kind of wrapped up with regard to that. So yeah, it's an exciting but challenging and a little bit kind of scary it's our first house. So it's kind of a little bit challenging, a little bit scary, but it's fun as well. It's really exciting. So that's that story. And we should be moving somewhere between June and August, probably. And that'll be us. We'll be moving into our home for the next 25 years, probably. I don't think we will have any appetite to do this again anytime soon, because it has been, for as much as it's been really exciting and it's been fun, but it's also been challenging as well. So, and a little bit nerve-wracking. So, but it's all been fun, and I guess we'll just have to see. If we want to do this again in a few years' time. Hopefully not, because I don't want to have to pack this stuff up all over again. I promised myself that I would only do it once after the lease on this place ran out. So yeah, it's exciting. And so therefore there will be some photos going up on my page at some point and on Facebook, and also I will do a studio tour of the new studio room once I'm all set up in the summertime. So it's going to be exciting, and there is an awful lot to do. There's a lot of packing to do and a lot of kind of getting stuff shipped over to the new site. It's actually not that far away. It's only like 20 minutes in the car from here. So but it is outside of Edinburgh, so we'll be moving outside of Edinburgh for the first time in 15 years, and outside of this particular part of Edinburgh for the first time. So, yeah, adventures all round. Adventures all round. And John Lake says, I hope he hits the right button. I did. I actually got the start sequence right for once. Anyway, we have about 16 people here. And after my little preamble there, let's go see who's here. Kyle was first in the door. Music to Motion is here. Bob Studios is here. John Lake is here. Testing 1, 2, 3. Let's see who else is here. Billy Morgan is here. Thomas is here over in the Philippines. And Alps Media. And I think that's about it so far that I've actually posted in the chat. So if you're here and you have not said hello in the chat, please feel free to do so. Especially if you have never been to my show before, then definitely do say hello in the chat. And it'd be nice to read your name out and actually address you personally. That would be nice. So please do that. Otherwise, it's question and answer time. And I want to take your questions on everything to do with Studio One. Basically, it is a Studio One Q&A night tonight. So if you have questions on usage, then please get them in to the chat, or if you have questions about features and functionality of Studio One, get them in the chat as well. But if you have like something that you want to report as an issue or a bug that you think you may have found, then please, instead of reporting that in the chat, please do go to your my.presonus.com account, or if you're a member of Presonosphere, go to sphere.presonus.com and go to the support section and create a support ticket. That is the best thing to do if you have things like crashing or any other kind of issue that you want to report. That's the best place to do it. Yeah, just do that. Just do that. That would be the best way to do it. Yeah, I noticed that, Thomas. But we are paying those particular individuals no attention from now on. So who else do we have? Who's just walked in the door? Garan Livingston is here. He says, "G'day all. G'day to you too, mate. Hope you're doing well, because it'll be like lunchtime for you probably." Let's see, who else do we have? And that's it, I think. So yeah, get your questions in. Otherwise, this will be a really short show. And it would not be much fun if we had to, end the show because there's no questions. But yeah, if you've got any questions about Studio One, if you're new to Studio One, all the better. Get your questions in. If you are very experienced with Studio One, but there are features that you would like to know more about, or you don't yet fully understand, then absolutely, we can tackle those as well. I have Studio One open already, so we are good to go. And I would really like to get into your questions. So get them in. I don't think anybody has asked one as yet. Dwayne is here. Hey, Dwayne, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. He's here. He's eating supper. I did that just before showtime, actually, because it's been a long day for me today, and we had a full Sunday roast lunch at my parents' because it is my parents' it's my mother's birthday, and it's their wedding anniversary as well. So we had a full Sunday roast over there, and therefore I didn't really feel like having any dinner. So I just decided to just have something snack orientated for just before showtime. So that's what we've been up to today. And if you guys don't ask any questions, then I will just end the show. And it'll be a really, really short one because we're only 12 minutes in. So let's get things moving. That'd be cool. I'm going to open a song so we've got something ready to go. But yeah, otherwise this is just essentially a Studio One Q&A show. But, I'm happy to expand that open to songwriting, arranging, composing, music theory. If you've got any questions on music theory, I'll take those as well. And then if you have any ideas or a particular... John Lake says, chat not working correct. Well, I'm reading your chat, and I can see that you posted that, so I don't know what's going on. Kevin's Guitar Stories is here. He says, hi, Johnny. I am not high, but hello. What was I going to say? I was in the throes of saying something, and I've completely forgotten what I was saying. John Lake thinks the chat's not working. Normally we definitely have more chat activity than this, so I don't know what the heck's going on. But if the chat is broken, then this will be a very short show. We will probably just abandon it, to be honest. And I'll just delete this. If the chat is broken, that's what we will do. Okay, John has a question. John Edgar, that is. He says, okay, now we're getting some questions. Hooray! John Edgar says, what are some of the most common issues you hear about when it comes to Windows update issues? Windows updates can do a whole host of different things. Some good, some maybe not quite so good. Sometimes ones that we have seen in the past, like for some of the early Windows 10 updates, like the very early Windows 10 updates, some of them could totally brick your audio interface. We've seen that happen. And some of the other ones that we've seen have been, Windows has basically not allowed universal control to update, and firmware is not to update properly. They just fail. We've seen that, and I think most of the time we've told people just to roll back to the previous Windows update that worked and wait, and eventually Windows issue an update that fixes those particular things, or we do it at our end at Presonus. But for the most part, it's a case of you roll back and roll back your Windows update, and and therefore it might be necessary that you have to roll back your Studio One version sometimes, or your Studio One update. Sometimes that has to happen, and if that's the case, if that's what has to happen, then just roll it back and keep working and wait until updates from either Presonus or Windows correct whatever the issue is. So yes, so there have been a few, but to be honest, my experience with Windows updates has actually been pretty good. Apart from when I was on Windows 8, the Windows updates on Windows 8 actually just gave me more problems than fixes, to be honest. But Windows 10, for me, since I started using Windows 10 just over a year ago, has actually been pretty stable for me, and my experience with Studio One on Windows 10 has actually been excellent. It's been really, really good. Although I have heard things about the 20H2 update for Windows 10 on some interfaces causes problems with drivers crashing and that kind of stuff. But yeah, my experience has been really rock solid with Windows 10. I've been very, very impressed with it, because I was one of those people that was a diehard Windows 7 guy, because, Windows 7 was really, really rock solid, and Windows 8 was fraught with issues, and Windows 10, the early versions were not so great. So I kind of thought, I think I'll just stay with Windows 7 for as long as I can, until it becomes, a security risk. And I jumped ship kind of before it became a security risk, and jumped over to Windows 10, and I've never looked back, really. I mean, it did mean in my particular case, I had to buy a new computer, because my old computer, the hardware inside it, so things like the motherboard and some of the chipset, would not work with Windows 10 at all. And I checked with the manufacturer of the computer, and they said, yeah, not going to work, so you're going to have to buy a new computer. And that was fine. So I bought a new computer. I was due one anyway, because that was getting a little bit old, a little bit tired, a little bit slow, and occasionally a little bit senile. It would forget things, weirdly enough. I didn't think computers could do that, but the old one did. And as soon as it started doing that, I thought, okay, it is time to buy a new computer. And as it turned out, it was the right thing to do. And the computer I have now is an absolute beast by comparison. It's so much faster and so much more reliable, and I can do so much more in Studio One than I could do before. And certainly with my show, quality has improved a lot of the picture. Some of that's to do with improved internet, and some of that is to do with the fact that the graphics card on this computer is so much better. So there we go. Hope that answers that question. Garen says, getting a decent blues guitar sound out of Ampire is near impossible. Any tips from viewers? I'm not really a guitar guy, but let me open up Dig Myself a Hole, which is a song that I put out kind of just before Brexit kind of started coming into real effect. And it was based upon something that our Prime Minister Boris Johnson said. And it just struck me as really funny what he said. So that's why I wrote this song. But this song does feature some bluesy kind of guitar. So we can go over and we can check that out. And I do have Ampire on this solo guitar. And I can show you what I've got running. I don't have a lot. It's just going through this EQ. I think this is kind of a Marshall-y kind of amp. And I've got the Big Fuzz. I love the Big Fuzz. And I've actually used this on trumpet, believe it or not. And it sounds pretty darn good. So I'm using that. And then we're going into a delay and an EQ. The EQ is not doing much. It's just doing a bit of a kind of low mid range scoop, and then I'm brightening up the tone a little bit. And then we're going into a reverb. Now you're probably wondering, why have I put the reverb and the beat delay as inserts on this channel rather than using sends? And it's because this is part of a signal chain that I want for just this guitar and nothing else. As you can see, I have used some reverb and delay sends. These are completely different, and this needed to be a unique chain, and so I could have just created a bus for these and have it as guitar delay, lead guitar delay, lead guitar reverb, but I didn't want to do that. So really, for me, it was just, I mean, just doing it one off I don't think is a particular problem. But if you're doing this across the board and you're usually just using reverbs and delays across each of your individual channels, you'll bog down your CPU, and, you know, Studio One performance monitor will start to peg. So not a good idea, but for the odd occasion like this, I think it's not a bad idea. So let's back this up to just the end of the chorus, and then you can check out the solo guitar sound I got here. All right, so that was me faking a guitar, and I'm not really a guitar player. I'm not really a fake guitar player, and I'm not really a fake guitar player. I think I'm probably a fake guitar player at best. So that's what you're hearing there. But I can isolate this channel here, and you can hear just the guitar on its own and see what that sounds like. So I think that sounds actually pretty good. There are in Ampire, I mean, this is a preset, British Blue. So there are some bluesy kind of presets. You just have to go and kind of have a look around through some of these. British Blue is the first preset in the lead section, but there are some other ones here as well that you can try and use them as kind of like a starting point, and then kind of add different stomp boxes or make some changes too. Those are pretty good. And then you've got some clean guitars. You got plenty, and you've got a few of the Ampire high density ones as well. So You got some lead ones here. So if you're into kind of a more metally kind of sound, these will work for you very nicely. So you can certainly give those a try, is what I would suggest. And don't be afraid to kind of tweak stuff. If the presets don't suit you, tweak them, change them, adjust them, kind of make them your own. And then once you happen upon something you really like, the other thing you can do is you can store it. You can hit this button here and then go store preset and give it a name, and then it'll be stored inside of Ampire and also stored inside your settings folder, and it's yours. And you can call it up whenever you want. So that would be my advice on that subject. Let's see. So I hope that helps. Let's see. And Starlight again says, trouble with my USB and my Atom and Lou from Alps Media has helped me a lot, and I thank him a lot. Well, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. That's good news. Alps Media does do a lot of great work for the Studio One community, that is for sure. And particularly if you are part of the home studio trainer community with Jonny Gibe, he does a heck of a lot in terms of sponsorship and endorsement of home studio trainer. It's a very exciting little partnership that they have going there, which is really cool. And speaking of whom, Louis says, would like to see you assign some tasks to the controls on the plugin insert. On the plugin insert, assigned tasks. Not quite sure what you mean. Do you mean assigning one of these guys to make... I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what you mean. You're going to have to kind of unpack that sentence for me a little bit more, please, Louis. I will tell you one thing for sure. I don't do a lot of automation. And I can show you that. If I just bring Studio One back into focus. You'll see here that there is no automation at all. I mean, this is not a very high track count. It's only got like 18 tracks of audio, but there is not a single hint of automation on this song at all. I don't do a lot. I do it where I feel it is necessary. And that's gotten me a good long way through my career as a producer, as a mix engineer. But obviously there are some genres where you have to do lots of automation to make the whole thing work, to make the whole mix breathe and not be two-dimensional. But yeah, for a lot of what I do, I don't do much in the way of automation. I might, bring a guitar up in the mix for a solo and then bring it back down. Or if there's another featured instrument, I'll bring that up. I'll do some volume rides, those kind of things. But I don't do a lot of automation of, bypassing or mutes or, filters. And I know some people do. And, particularly in genres like EDM, you might want to be, you might want to do high pass and low pass filters for particular transitions in your music, and those are great. Do those, but I certainly don't particularly. Mike Neighbor is here. Hey Mike, good to see you. Hope you're doing well, mate. I'm going to go back over to the camera. Garen says, cheers, mate. I've been playing with Ampire heaps, and the presets are a good place to start for sure. Yes, they most definitely are. John Lake says, any news on Studio One in Apple? I'm not really sure what you mean. Again, Studio One, as it stands, is supported in Rosetta 2 mode on the Apple M1s. That is where we are at with that. That was announced publicly very recently. You can also go to the knowledge base. There is an article there that explains kind of where we're at, and it's being updated regularly with kind of what's new with either on the Apple side or on our side. But for the most part, it's a little bit of a waiting game, and we are doing lots of testing to make sure that everything works going forward. So I don't know when things will move forward, but as far as I'm aware, Rosetta 2 mode is what you have on the M1s for Studio One just now. But bear in mind that there are some plugin manufacturers that are not even at that point yet. So you may find Studio One works beautifully, but your plugins don't. And your plugins may even crash Studio One a lot more than or for the first time. You might find that they crash Studio One where they didn't crash Studio One before. So if you are using a Mac M1 in Rosetta 2 mode, some plugin manufacturers are not even at that point, and they haven't even tested to that point yet. So you may well find that Studio One works great, but your plugins don't. And if that is a problem for you, then there are alternatives. You can use the native plugins in Studio One, which will work in Rosetta 2 mode, and you'll be fine as a kind of workaround until your favored third-party plugin companies come on board with Rosetta 2 mode. So that's pretty much where it is. And as soon as there is news, you will hear about it because it will be updated on that compatibility statement article. Louis says, the question indeed had to do with the automation knobs when you click on the knob next to the sidechain icon. Click on the knob next to the sidechain icon. Okay. Let's see. Here we go. Here we go. So, let me see what you're talking about here. Well, there's no sidechain on the beat delay. Is there a sidechain over on here? Nope. Nope. No sidechain on Empire, but things like the Pro EQ, I think have got sidechain. Yep, sidechain capability right there. And you can select your sources and kind of what you want to do. And you can select those from whatever is available in your mix. I do sidechain compression and sometimes sidechaining delays. I can show you a little bit of that. So on this lead vocal bus here, you'll see that there are two fat channels. There's this one over here, and this one isn't being sidechained. But you'll find over on the analog delay here, there is a compressor, and this has a sidechain assignment to the lead bus, the lead vocal bus here. And so what's happening here is anytime there is audio going through this lead vocal bus, there is a send here that is going to the analog delay. That's already set up. But what happens is whenever audio passes through the signal chain, it triggers the compressor that is on the first insert of the analog delay. Now, what does that do? Well, what that does, if I isolate the lead vocal and go back to the beginning of verse 1, what this is going to do is it's going to duck the delay effect out of the way when there is audio passing through the lead vocal bus. And then it will release the delay, so you get the delay effect after the vocal performance, like this. Everything's against me, my back against the wall. So the delay comes back. If you're wearing good quality headphones or you're listening on good quality studio monitors, what you will hear is you'll hear the delay being suppressed or compressed in this case by the compressor that's being triggered by the audio from the vocal bus. And when the vocal stops singing, the compressor releases and the delay repeats continue. And that just gives you quite a lot of kind of cleanliness with your delays And you can do the same with reverbs as well. So you can make your vocal really upfront and really clear and crisp and present, while still retain their ambience from the delay and the reverb, the sense of space and everything else, by having them duck a little bit, not loads. You don't maybe want to duck it completely out of the way, but certainly, just kind of compress it just a little bit, enough so that it's going to allow clarity for the vocal, and then when it releases, you get it back to full volume. And this is great if you've got like lots of repeats on the delay, or you've got a long tail on the reverb, and you want the tail, but you don't want the body whilst the vocal is performing, because it can kind of get in the way, and it can be quite muddy. So that's kind of what I do. But like I say, I don't do that kind of thing that much. See, sorry, was not the sidechain. It's the icon just above the bypass. The icon just above the bypass. Okay, let's go find something. The icon just above the... Oh, this. The routing. That's what you're talking about. The splitter stuff. Again, I don't do this a whole lot, but you can do things like parallel compression, just keeping it all on one bus by doing that. So for example, I could go and grab just the standard compressor, stick this on my drum bus over here, and let's see, let's slam this quite a bit, and we'll make this a fast attack, like really super duper fast attack. And then what we can do is we can switch this around. So I can put this into a splitter. Put the splitter just up here. And put this compressor on this side. Over here. And then this can be how you could set up parallel compression. And just, keep it all on one channel rather than having to do two channels and duplicate or create a parallel bus, which is what I mostly do. And then what this will do is this will allow you to kind of blend these two together. So you could really kind of duck this down, have it quite low in volume, and then when you play your drums, holding all the words, cards I feel. It can bring a bit of extra punch and a little bit of extra life to what you're doing. Right, it's the knob icon next to the split tool that you were referring to. Okay, so we're getting there. The macro controls. Okay, that's what you're referring to. Okay, I wasn't sure what you're referring to at any time. You can assign these to anything, and you can use this kind of XY pad as well. I don't really know what these do particularly, but yeah, you can assign anything to these guys. I don't really mess with these too terribly much, but you can assign any parameters. Like you could assign, I don't know. Let's see, we could assign the low cut frequency to the sidechain filter of the compressor or the curve. We could assign the ratio to a particular controller over here, or you could assign, I don't know, maybe the low cut. Maybe the low cut frequency you could assign to a particular knob, and then you can automate that. And you could, if you wanted to, you could have it just kind of pump the low cut filter back and forth, whatever you want it to do. So yeah, you can do that. But yeah, there's a bunch of assignable knobs, and of course the pads. You can do all sorts of funky things. I think Gregor's got some videos on how all of this stuff works. I don't really use it, so I'm just being honest with you. I don't really use it, and have no intention of using it really, because it's not really my bag when it comes to mixing. Let's see, what else do we have? Mika says, isn't that what the wet dry mix knob on an effects is for, parallel processing? Yeah, you can do it that way. You can do it with the splitter. You can do it with a parallel bus. There are always more than one way to skin a cat. And especially that is true with Studio One. You can do it anyway. You can do it with the mix knob. You can do whatever you like. Whichever method suits you, whichever method you prefer. So, Mika, if for you just want to use the mix knob, just use the mix knob. Other people might want to do it the parallel drum bus kind of way, or parallel bass bus way, or whatever it is, which is the way that I prefer to do it. Or you can use the splitter function and set it up that way. It's kind of up to you, whichever way you want to crumble that cookie. Mika says the macro control panel allows you to scale your controller parameter relationship. Yeah, it does. It does. I just don't use it. But yeah, that's absolutely right. That's exactly what it does, and I just don't use it. It's not really my thing. Others of you might have, more use of it. I work in mostly jazz and acoustic music. And some folk. I do some folk music as well. And that's kind of mostly the music that I mix. So I don't really need those. And actually I don't really use parallel compression very much. I do on something that's a little bit more funk orientated. Something that's, a little bit more, if I had something that's more straight ahead, bebop orientated or something like that, then no, you don't use parallel compression in those situations. It's the wrong style. I'm not saying that there are rules particularly, but there are styles of music where parallel compression is useful, and there are styles of music where you just don't need it. So I don't use it. But at least I know how to do it. And, the whole kind of side chaining thing with delays and reverbs and stuff, I've done that for forever. And, side chaining kick drums with bass guitar or kick drum with upright bass. That I do in a in a jazz situation. When the kick drum and the bass are playing at exactly the same time, I will use a little bit of sidechain compression just to tap the bass behind the kick drum. I mean, the kick drum is only feathering a little bit on the head of the drum. It's very soft, and it's meant to be soft. It's meant to add just a little bit of weight to the pulse. That's all it's meant to do. But yeah, I will maybe sometimes, some situations, I will duck the upright bass just a hair, maybe a dB and a half of compression, just to kind of duck it just a little bit so the kick drum is felt a little bit more. Sometimes I don't need to do that, but yeah, it is just a different way to do things. Let's see. Bill Shepherd says, I have 2 cats and have been thinking of skinning both of them. Which ways should I use? Sidechain both of them is what I would do. John says, I guess you don't have to use everything in Studio One. Absolutely right. You don't. Use what you use and don't worry about the rest of it. You don't have to learn a DAW inside and out in order to successfully create really great music in Studio One. You don't. I would say I maybe know half of what Studio One can do, and there's just other things that, I mean, I watch Gregor's videos all the time, and I watch Joe's videos all the time, and those two are really good friends of mine, and I'm always educated. I always find out something I did not know about Studio One. And I'm always kind of like, oh, great. And then I go and try it out. And it's just like, oh, great. This is really great. What a great feature. I've been using Studio One for, 8 years. And I'm always finding something that I didn't know was there. Or I thought, maybe I should make a feature request for that. And so I think about it. I go and talk to Gregor about it. And Gregor's like, no, you don't need to make a feature request for that. It's already there. I was like, oh, I didn't even know. But now I do. So yeah, there's no need to use everything or learn everything that there is to learn about Studio One. It's helpful. It means that you can help other people. It means that you're more, you're really educated about the DAW and how it works. And you can guide other people into getting more out of it. But that's really, knowing the DAW inside out. That's all it's really for. But if if kind of being an educator or helping people a lot regularly in Studio One is not really your thing, and you just want to get on with just making music, then just use the features that you use that get the job done for you. Because at the end of the day, Studio One, like Cubase, Logic, Pro Tools, Ableton Live, and all the rest of them, and all the other 250,000 DAWs that there are out there these days, they're tools. That's it. They're just a tool set to get the job done, to make music. That's all it's about, as far as I'm concerned. So, and I'm going to stop ranting now. Mike says you don't have to use the latest version of the DAW either to make music. Correct. If you're happy with being on Studio One 4, all power to you. Just remember that older versions of Studio One will at some point become discontinued. And when that happens, if you have issues with Studio One, the version that you're using, which is discontinued, there will be no technical support for it. So if you're going, if you're in a position where, something is going wrong, like it's crashing or something else is going on, when that particular version of Studio One is no longer supported, you won't be able to get any technical support for it. And the thing to do at that point is upgrade. To be really honest, that's the best thing you can do, is to upgrade. But yeah, nobody says you have to upgrade on day one that a new version comes out. So, I know a lot of people that on day one when Studio One 5.0 came out, I know people that didn't upgrade until just recently for Studio One 5.2. They sat back and they waited. And I know some people who are still on Studio One 4, and, I'm sure that in due time they will upgrade as well. But, for right now, just use what works and make music. At the end of the day, that's what I feel more strongly about than what version of Studio One you're on. Just, use the DAW, make music. Use the features of the DAW that you use to get the job done and just make music. Mika says, some of us want to produce more sonically and texturally complex music, and tutorial presentations help those of us who want to produce popular, marketable products. I want to learn how, not always why. Yeah, that's probably where you and I are probably completely opposite. Because most of the time I don't care about how. Sometimes I care about why. Why does this do that? I'm not always like that, but, quite oftentimes I can be, why does that do that? And that makes me want to go and explore it more. That kind of, once my curiosity is piqued, I want to go and explore whatever that is a lot more. But for sure, I'm always constantly learning and constantly evolving how I do things. And sometimes that means I have to learn some new features that I didn't know about before. But, the tutorials that are available on the Personas YouTube channel are they're more focused on learning Studio One, learning, the features that are available, the feature sets that are available and how they work. They're not necessarily going to guide you in, you know, the thing that you're talking about there, Mika, which is, you know, texturally complex music. They're not really designed for that. They're more designed for helping you understand how to do things. Not necessarily kind of, you know, how to do things with the feature set in Studio One. How does this feature work? How does that feature work? Like Gregor's most recent video on, darn it, I was about to say what that video was, and I've completely forgotten what it was. But yeah, you know, Gregor's latest set of videos have been really helpful on, you know, things like file management and backing up your settings and those kind of things, and how to do that if you're a member of PersonaSphere, and also how to do it if you're not a member of PersonaSphere. There's actually a really cool feature in Studio One if you're a member of PersonaSphere called Backup and Restore. Really, really cool. You can back up how Studio One looks in almost in a snapshot, back that up to your Sphere account, your PersonaSphere account, and then, you know, for example, if it becomes necessary, maybe some of your settings files have got a little bit messed up, which can happen from time to time. And if that does happen, you can use the backup and restore function to get all of your settings files copied over to your Sphere account, your PersonaSphere account, and then you can delete the ones that are in Studio One and allow it, when you relaunch Studio One, to write a fresh set of settings files. Now that does mean that some of your settings will, you know, won't be there because it will rewrite default settings. But what you can do, if you find, you know, my issue is fixed now, my issue is gone, well, just use the new settings files that have been rewritten, and then you just have to go and configure things to back, you know, a little bit back to how they once were. Like if you've got things like a particular color scheme that you use, stuff like that, you'll have to manually go and retweak those. But, you know, if the issue doesn't resolve with, you know, the new settings files, then you can just restore your original settings files and everything is back to the way it was, and maybe the issue is somewhere else, in which case, you know, make a support ticket. Where would we go to learn about the macro control panel and scaling, inverting, multi-parameter controls? Probably Gregor or some other person. Not me, because I don't do any of those. Who's this? Enbar, I'm going to call you because it's ENNBR. Is Persona still providing patches for version 4? If not, then it has been discontinued. There is no more development going on Studio One 4, which means there are no fixes or improvements or new features being added to Studio One 4, but it is not yet discontinued, and it is not yet kind of no longer supported. What that means is this. It means if you have an issue with Studio One 4, like you have crashing or you have something else going on, you can still make a technical support ticket via your account, your MyPersonas or your sphere.personas.com account, and you will get help. You will get assistance with that issue. So Studio One 4 is still supported and will be for some time to come. However, bugs aren't being fixed. There are no patches going out, maintenance updates or anything like that. None of that's going out anymore. And there are no new features being written for Studio One 4. All the development focus is now on version 5 and not version 4. So from that perspective, it kind of is discontinued. It's discontinued from the sense of it's not being sold anymore and it's not being developed anymore. But it certainly is still supported from a technical support point of view. So I hope that that helps with that question. And I think you're new to my show, so welcome. And thank you for the question. It's a good one. Let's see what else. Mike Neighbor's got to get out of here. He says, have a great weekend, everyone. Yes, good night, Mike. Take care. John says, found Gregor's tutorial in backing up settings to be an eye-opener. It's great. It's a really, really good video. Gregor and I had a good chat about it just before he started shooting it, because he wanted to kind of ask a few things about that. But it was really great. Really great video. He explained it better than I could. So, yeah, really, really great video. Go watch that if you haven't seen it yet. Let's see. I think we've run out of questions. So I think pretty much probably on that note, we are maybe just a few minutes before the hour mark, but I'm absolutely bursting to go for a pee. I'll be really honest. So we will end the show here, folks. But if you have any questions that I didn't answer, then please do go to the website that's at the bottom of the screen there, and you can drop me an email from there. Just, or you can just go and email Jonny at jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk and send me a question. And if it's a good one and it requires some demonstration of something in Studio One, I will feature it in the next show for sure. And I'll try and answer your questions that way. And also, if you have a particular topic that you would really like featured in next week's show, then send me your request for that as well, and I can build up a little chain of requests, and I can feature more particular specific topics in these shows. I would love to do that. So until then, I will see you on Wednesday for Songwriting Simplified, either here or over on Jonny's channel, and we'll confirm before then anyway. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye. Against me, my back against the wall, holding all the words, cards I feel 2 feet tall. I'll stand and shout, no holding back. Do or die, gonna dig myself a hole. Oh, do or die, gonna dig myself a hole. Now I'm hanging tough, and I'm never falling back. When defense fails, I'm going on the attack. I stand and shout, no holding back. Do or die, gonna dig my